So the transition to hybrid, I think, is having a huge impact on what we're seeing and sort of this trend upwards. If you think about what happened during the pandemic, there was a rapid shift and we all had to change and adapt to this new working environment. And we went through a lot of change. And many of us during the pandemic, while we were isolated or working remotely, we were surrounded by friends and family. We were able to cry. We were able to be angry. We were able to feel unsafe, essentially, but surrounded by people that we could be vulnerable with and talk about it. And if you've looked at what's happened, very few sales organizations, I've worked with a handful, but very few sales organizations really invested into mental health and resilience and stress management during the pandemic. So as a result, you have all of these new hires transitioning back, all of these people that are now asking to make that snap back, make a new change into how do I balance this hybrid work and life commuting back to work. But two, when I'm encountering these really difficult emotions that come with change, like I said, like shame, embarrassment, feeling afraid, how do you do that when the only relationship that you've had with someone has been via Slack or they just started and those real in-person conversations that have never taken place? And that's why, again, part of what I do with teams is focus on the areas of psychological safety so that we can normalize conversations around how challenging this is, normalize how challenging it is to have a quota hanging over your head all the time. And what can you practically do as an individual and as a leader to help yourself, but help others through these difficult times? Because the future is only going to continue to become more variable, more uncertain, more complex, and more ambiguous. If you think about what's happening in Ukraine, if you think about climate change, if you think about what's happening with the recession, layoffs, the economic stability of the 90s, it doesn't really exist anymore, and things are going to continue to become, like I said, ambiguous. So we need to ensure that we are building a psychologically safe culture so that our teams can really depend and support each other effectively.